Be the kind of woman that radiates light. My next guest says that starts from within. Studio 5 contributor and friend of the show, Shima Baughman, is describing the light-filled woman today. The woman who feels light and lives light and spreads light wherever she goes. I am so excited to dive into this topic with you, sister.
Me too.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Light, as you know, is the theme of season 19 on Studio 5, and it's a theme, it's a word, light, that you particularly love. How come?
Oh, I love it. So my doormat says, look for light in everything. And I just think about light is the source of all goodness, right? Everything green that grows that I love, like my favorite things are growing.
Yes.
It's just light. That's the source of it. And you think of with people as well, like we all have this light within us, and can we celebrate and be grateful for those that kind of exude this light and we can see it, which all of us do in our own ways. So I'm excited to talk to you about this. Yeah.
We see it and we feel it. One thing I'm excited about as it relates to this theme and this season of the show is the opportunity to articulate it, like to really define and refine, which is what we've asked you to do today. We've asked a light-filled woman to identify what makes up a light-filled woman. And you gave this some really thoughtful reflection, and I was really impressed with what you came up with. First, you said a light-filled woman is vulnerable.
Yes, vulnerable. And the person that comes to mind when I think about this is Brooke Romney. And so I, as I was thinking of what is a light-filled woman, I was thinking about the women I know, like friends and others I know, that just exude light. And this one it wasn't kind of immediate to come to mind, but as I pondered this, I was like, we're vulnerable because when one person is vulnerable, they allow others light to shine.
Brooke is a writer, she's a published author, and she does often crack open like the inner thoughts of her heart, and it's really inspiring.
Yes, it's like her heart is all of our hearts, and and that's what's so cool about it. It's like she'll admit these weaknesses that might seem embarrassing for her to be like, I felt left out, like everyone had friends except me, or I was not invited to the ski trip that everybody else was invited to. But then she'll just give you the inside of that, and then it makes you feel like, I can relate to that, right? We've all been left out of something. Yeah. We've all not been invited to something, and just being vulnerable with others helps them to feel like just loved and kind of felt like validated. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Okay. Diagnose this deeper with me though. As I think about Brooke, who's a dear friend of mine as well, I love her so much. She's vulnerable without being a victim.
Yes, exactly. No, it's
you know what I mean?
Exactly right. And I'm so glad you said that.
What's the line there? Because I think,
it's not vulnerable where we're like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're like
it's like, oh, yeah, me too. Let's go. It's like empowering.
Yes.
And anyone who follows her on Instagram will see, she empowers you, right?
She does.
To parent better, with your kids and your teens, and be a better friend.
So what's the line if we're trying to emulate that? Like, what would that be? To be vulnerable but not be a victim? Is it the confidence that comes with your vulnerability, or is it the assurance of I know who I am and I'm going to share anyway?
Yes, I think it's assurance of it. And I would love to bottle this up, because this is something I feel like she says hard things without offending people, right? She's like one of those people everyone loves, even though she's beautiful, she's popular, she has a lot of followers, and all those things that would make women be like, huh, but they're not with her. And what is it? It's because she's self-assured, and she also brings you in. It's like, we're all the same.
Inclusive.
Like, she's inclusive in the way of like it's not just me that has this, right? It's like all of us. And I do notice that when she posts things, she doesn't put herself above.
Right.
Like, she doesn't say, well, I do this, and everyone feeling like, crap, I don't do that. You know what I mean?
She does talk a lot. I don't know if this was her original idea, but I know she's been credited with the idea of the horseshoe instead of the circle.
Yes.
And she does she does emulate that
That's
herself.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, next you say the light-filled woman lights the way brightly for her inner circle.
Yes. And this one is so neat. And, I think everyone's inner circle includes somebody like this, but I wanted to kind of talk about my best friend, Heather, who I remember at 18 sitting down with her, and she just jokes and makes so much fun of me. Like, my awkward 18-year-oldness, I was like, you're awesome, but you have too many friends, and I think we need to be best friends. Like, I told her this, and she
recruiting her.
I was like,
for exclusivity.
Propositioning, kind of let's be best friends.
Ditch them, you're with me.
Like, you can have them, but we need to be best friends. And I was like, because the thing that she offers to everyone, and that's why everyone wants to be a best friend, that's why I was like, no, be my best friend, is she just offers this listening ear. And it's like, you think people from every side of the aisle, right? Left, right, like in the church, out of the church, in every different facet of life, all think of her as their go-to and their best friend. And how do you do that, right? That's something, that is a light-filled woman, right? Someone that can make everyone feel validated. And she never does it in an authentic way. I've watched her do this, because another thing, it's like, you want to bottle up all these gifts, because these women have these amazing gifts.
She's sincere.
She's sincere. Like, she won't say something she won't believe. Yeah. But she'll say something that validates you. Yeah. And that I love. You know, I think she's such a beautiful.
This is my sister too. Okay. Like, I'll sit by her on the soccer sidelines watching her kids, and I'll listen to other women talk to her. I'm like, but we're best friends, right? And it's my sister. You know, but just that inclusivity and that light that you're able to radiate. Yeah. That's a beautiful way to say it and describe it. The light-filled woman is imperfect.
Oh yes, and this is funny, and I don't mean this person is imperfect because I want to talk about Kristen Andrus, but she kind of, you know, advertises being imperfect and really kind of doesn't try to do everything to 100%. And she says, you know, her quote is like 60% is good enough. And so she'll pull together these events, these service projects where most of us would be like, okay, like give me a month to like, you know, pencil it out and get the right. She just kind of like, in a month I'm doing this thing. Like, are you in or not? She just goes. Yeah. And people will just come along with her because she's so confident and willing to do it without it being perfect. Even though, like I said, like her imperfect is like my perfect. You know,
imperfection like that takes an energy too that I think is admirable. And I know she works hard at cultivating that personal energy too. But what a gift to be able to embrace imperfection.
I know.
As a strength.
And her imperfection is geared towards doing good, which I love that. I mean, I just think anyone that's like using their energy, whatever it might be, even if it's only 60%, because most of us only have 60%. Like, think of us, like, as a mom, as a working person, as a, like, I'm never going to give 100% at this point in my life. And maybe never, right? Maybe it's like, we just only have 60%. And then if we can give that, like,
but think of a room that's 60% brighter, a la Kristen Andrus. That room is illuminated in just the right way.
Yes, and you think of like all the times we don't invite people over, for instance, because we're like, our house is a mess. And I've been to her house, like, she has 6 kids. It's never like perfect, right? She'll, you know, kind of clean up and it looks good. But it's like, if we were just willing to just say, you know what, like, this is my mess of life. We all have that same mess. Yeah. Can't we just do more? Like, she inspires me to be like, I could do this. I could host this. I could, you know, be willing to give more.
Doors open. Yes. Doors open. All right, you say the light-filled woman is willing to try, and I loved this one.
Yes. So this one I was thinking of, we're talking about Emily McCormick, right? Because I just think, you know, something I love is that she can look around in her community and see problems. And most of us are kind of like, wow, that's really hard. You know, like, we sit around, we put our
we feel bad.
We're like, that is just so hard. But she's one of those that's actually taken it upon herself to do something about it. And I've watched her development. She's one of my closest friends. And I'm like, just watching her. And, you know, in the last few years, starting with the policy project, she's, you know, gotten tampons and pads in all these schools and made it okay and accessible for legislators, male legislators, to talk about periods and bleeding. I mean, this stuff that was just so not acceptable. And then she built teen centers and, you know, all these great improvements. Now they're doing cell phones in schools. I just think she was willing to try.
She's just not afraid.
Not afraid. And one of her greatest skills, I have to say, is she's able to kind of befriend people and kind of like get whatever you agree on to be forefront versus what you don't agree on. Like,
that's good.
You know what I mean? I think that's a really good way. And you think about like things we always want to get done, like how to do it. It's like the principle of, you know, honey gets more friends than vinegar, right? That like our Andrew Carnegie principle. It's like she has that in spades. And it's such a beautiful, like, again, bottle that trait up because it's such a good trait.
What a good observation, Shima, to bring our synonyms, our similarities to the forefront and lead with those.
Lead with that.
Lead with those. Okay, finally, the light-filled woman bears others' burdens.
Yes, and one of my best friends, I wanted to talk about this one. She's more private, so I don't have a picture of her or anything, but it's the friend that, you know, they say like, you're in a good spot if you have somebody you can call at 4 a.m. and we'll pick up. She's like that friend. It's like, when I'm like having the worst day, I can send her a Marco Polo, I can text her to, can you chat? It's that friend, and it's like being that friend, right? Can we be that friend? And I have to say, I didn't know, and most of us don't, right? I didn't know how to be a good friend. My parents didn't have close friends growing up. They had each other, their family, but to see how she was a friend to me, right? Dropping things, being there to congratulate and to console, and all those really important things that we need. Yes. I just think that is a light-filled woman, a woman that can lift someone out of the darkness in their hard times. I feel like in my dark times, she was always there for me, always has been.
I love that. I love that. I kind of have come to give, I know it's a popular reference in like therapy and self-help talk, and I get it and I respect it, but this idea of holding space, it's kind of oversold in my opinion, but I appreciate it to a degree, and I think of the friend that, you know, as you say, bear others' burdens, that can hold space. I have a similar friend that called the other day, and I was just like, I'm feeling tender today. No reason, just feeling tender, and someone who can just be there with you and like share the weight.
Right, without being like, well, what can we do? Like, let's get you let's fix this, because that's more my inclination.
Right, no fixing.
Fix it. No fixing, just like, that is so hard. And let's talk about like why that's, you know, hard. If you want.
I love
or we can just be together. Or we can just share funny memes, because we've done that.
Because we do that too. I love these women you've highlighted. More importantly, I love your lens in which you celebrate and view them, because in that comes light. Like light brings light. So thank you for taking this on for us.
Oh, you're welcome.
More light-filled conversations to come all season here on Studio 5. Shima, we love you.
I love this.
Thank you.
Thank you.